All right, so we got a lot of stuff covered, a lot of stuff that made me happy with this episode. And I'm like, come on through, Cookie. I'm going up on my soapbox, that's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for Queen Sugar Season 2, Episode 3. Alright, so right off the bat, the thing that made me happy, Hollywood is back. He's with Aunt Vi. Him and Aunt Vi spent the whole episode fucking up a storm, honey. They was carrying on. They were away in a hotel and just enjoying each other. Enjoying each other, talking shit to each other, and carrying on. Child, that goddamn Aunt Vi told that damn Hollywood, listen, I'm a lady. And I'm going in here in the bathroom and do my lady things. And then when I come back, I'm not going to be a lady. I said, well, come on, Vi. Roll it on out of there, ho. So I just kind of laughed at that. And then by the time we got to the end of the episode, Aunt Vi had done fucked Hollywood so good till Hollywood told her, I ain't going back on a damn rig. Because it was like they had ended up calling him and giving it a 48-hour time to get back on the rig. He told her, I ain't going back on that rig. You know, the most important thing is you and you need not never give up on me again. And don't give up on us. And he said he's going to stay and make it happen. So I was very, very happy about that. And I think everybody is, because we were all rooting for Hollywood and Aunt Vi. Okay, so that was good. All right, so Ralph Angel. Ralph Angel, I was proud of Ralph Angel in this episode. Ralph Angel ended up talking to his parole officer. And he actually showed his parole officer the handwritten will and testament that his dad left that he found and everything like that. And the parole officer told him, you know, this is really good, Ralph Angel. I'm really happy for you. This is your future right here. And he was saying that the only thing you got to worry about is this could tear your family apart. You know, he said, you know, land is really just like money. It's just brown instead of green. It can actually be the point of contention that actually tears people apart. And he's like, you know, because this letter would probably stand up really well in any court of law. He said, the only thing you got to worry about, you know, your sisters could actually sue and they could try to, you know, come after you. And he's like, they wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, well, he said, you never know. You never know with family. You never know. And the funny thing is, Charlie has put so much into it. But Charlie has her own money. Nova has her own income, but she doesn't. It would be taken away from Nova's income, you know, when everything works out. But they're just kind of not like that. I don't know that they would fight Ralph Angel as opposed to still helping Ralph Angel. I don't know that they would do that. But again, money brings out different things in people. But whatever. So that's there. You know, because really, everything really belongs to Ralph Angel. Anyway, so that was that. Okay, so the next thing that actually ended up happening with Ralph Angel, and I thought he was going to really fly off the handle, there was this drone that actually was flying over the land and had a camera in it. And the thing that had happened was Ralph Angel was in the house doing some, he was washing dishes. Little Blue was out on the porch. And of course, Blue follows the drone. He sees this drone. He's following this drone, and the drone kind of fell. And he, you know, he hollered, pop, pop. And he fucking took off, you know. So he gets out there, because I was like, oh my God, I thought something had actually happened to Blue, but it didn't. He just, you know, got out there. Well, Ralph Angel was like, okay, see, now I'm not playing these games. He went down to the office the Landry office, and Jacob Boudreaux was in there. He ends up talking to Jacob Boudreaux, and he basically told him, you know, this is ridiculous. And how dare you be filming and looking and doing whatever it is you're doing. You're trespassing on my land. You're not walking, but that drone, you're trespassing on my land. And if they were anywhere else other than New Orleans, yeah, you could have filed charges. But anyway, so Jacob had his balls up underneath him, and they was tight, baby. And he gonna tell Ralph Angel, you really shouldn't, because Ralph Angel was handling his stuff real, real good. He had said what he had to say, brought the drone back, dropped it on the desk, being real good, get ready to leave. And that motherfucker turned around there and told Ralph Angel, you know, you really should be careful about leaving your boy out there unattended and by himself. Something might happen to him. Ralph Angel turned around and grabbed that motherfucker so tight up in his collar, looked like his goddamn veins was about to pop. And he told him, he said, come on, convict, go ahead. Do something to me that could get you put right back in jail. He told him, let me tell you something. He said, when it comes to my boy, there's not a jail anywhere around here that's big enough or tough enough to hold me in there. I will hurt you. I said, okay, come on. And he let him go and walked out of there. I was so proud of Ralph Angel, because I know when my heart was beating fast, I was like, tear his ass up. Tear his ass up. You know, because I know that's what I've been ready to do. I've been ready to tear his ass up. But anyway, so he told him, don't threaten my boy. I'm like, I understand. So he went on and he left one out of there. And that was that. Next, we actually have this whole little situation with Charlie and Davis. They have this little conversation. She basically tells Davis, I don't give a shit what you say. I am not going to give you partial custody of Micah. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to give it to you. I don't give a fuck what you say. He said, and she said, and then did Micah actually say to you that he wanted you to have custody? Or you twisted his words? She said, you ain't shit. You're just playing games and carrying on. And he told her, she said, so that's it. She said, drop it. I'm not giving it to you. He told her, Charlie, I know that you forged my signature on your loan for your cane, your meal. And he's like, give me partial custody of my son, or I'll go right to the bank. And I'll blow that whole thing out of the water before you ever get any money in your hand. She turned around and told that motherfucker, because she stopped right quick like, oh shit. And I was like, old Charlie, he got you there. But then my old Charlie came on through, because she always come through, because Charlie always got some shit up her sleeve. She turned around there and told that damn Davis, she said, let me tell you something. You can go ahead down to the bank and tell them anything you want. But you just need to know when you do that, you still aren't going to get custody of your son. And then I'm going to file suit. Every day I'll file a different type of suit and tell all of the business of the infidelity and the bullshit comes out public. And then we'll see who the winner is going to be. Baby, he was standing up there looking simple. But wait a minute, did y'all see Davis in that top, child? Whoop, okay, anyway, moving on. Don't judge me. Moving on. I know you all seen that shit. Leave it in the comments. Moving on. Oh, Lord have mercy. So now let's talk about Nova. So Nova is actually in the beginning part of the episode. Nova, we were over at Nova's house. We were just leaving, you know, it's when they first left the rally and all that. Micah had stayed overnight with Nova. So she was like, do you want to talk? You know, this, that, and the other. He's like, no, I'm okay, this, that, and the other. So Charlie come to pick him up. And they're talking back and forth. And she's telling her, she's like, he's not okay. He's not okay, Charlie. He's not eating. He's not talking. She said, I don't know what it is, but something happened to Micah, or something was done to Micah when they had him in custody. She said, did you know he actually peed on himself. He pissed himself that night. And she said, it's just not good. So that's not good. And Charlie was like, okay, so she's kind of paying attention. And I'm looking at Charlie and I see her wheel spinning. So she asked her, where are you going? She said, well, I got to go down to Atlanta to do this conference. So he says, okay, cool. So let's go down to Atlanta to the conference. We see this nice looking dark guy, Dr. Robert Dubois, down here in Atlanta. Him and Nova, they meet. You could tell right away he's a little smitten with Nova. He looked at her, Nova's the shit. He looked at her, and she kind of looked at him, but, kept it moving. So remember, we always see in Nova just white guys, these random white guys. And also, whenever she, she had a little black guy, but she kind of like played him off. I was like, okay. So she sees him, and she kind of paid a little bit of attention to him, but not a whole lot. When it actually happened, when they actually got into the conference setting, him and her were debating back and forth. They literally were the whole conference. It was a very good debate, very good conversation. And you can see right away, they're fighting the same fight, but just from two different angles. She's the street fight of it. He's the office fight of it, okay? And they're going back and forth. And I disagree with this. It's that thing. I mean, really, really respectful, because he's really, really respectful. You could definitely tell he's a very Southern gentleman. And it was just very respectful. He didn't overtalk her. We immediately, Ava DuVernay, she did this shit to death, because I immediately was drawn to his character. I was like, oh my God, he is such a catch. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, him and Nova would be the shit together. You know what I mean? So we're sitting there and they're going back and forth. And the more they're debating, the intellects are mixing. They keep looking at each other. And it was very evident that there was an attraction there. And I was happy once again. I said, okay. I said, now how are we going to wrap this up and get him and Nova together? Because even all the way to the end of the debate, I was done when he said, we're not really disagreeing. We just got a different way of looking at it. And that's where they actually ended. The conference was a shit. So, and I think everybody there was happy too. So that was really, really cool. Later on, we actually seen he was out. They had actually went out for like coffee. And he asked her, can I take you somewhere right now? She says, yeah, where? He's like, just outside, because the lighting in here is just not, good for what I want to discuss with you. So he takes her outside, and it's still, I thought it was nighttime, but it wasn't. It was daytime. They go outside, and they're basically just walking. Old school motherfucking player, okay? So they're just walking, and they're talking, and in the time they're talking, she finds out that he literally was involved with Katrina in the early days. He was, one of the people who went through the rough stuff, pulling the bodies out of the houses and this, that, thing, and the other. And he was part of the outreach and all of that. She had no idea that he actually been in New Orleans at that time. So again, on top of that, boom, Nova was like, okay. By the end of them walking, they were walking and holding hands, and I was like, thank you, Ava. Thank you, Ava. So I was like all in for that. So that was that. And I was like thinking to myself, now, no, Nova, don't go and fuck him. Because, you like to go get a little dick up in you. Don't you go and fuck him. So I was kind of holding on that. Okay, so let's switch back over and talk about Ralph Angel. So Ralph Angel is in the bed. Him and Blue. He's laying there. Blue's in the bed. They're both asleep. You hear this truck pulling up, this, that, thing, and the other. It's the middle of the night. Ralph Angel eases out of bed, gets his fucking shotgun, puts the bullets in, out the door. He got business. He goes out. You see there's some people out there trying to steal the sugar cane. They're like ripping the crops up, trying to steal them. And they're trying to pull off because he shot the gun, and he starts running after them. Trying to pull off, and they leave. The one guy's like, wait, no, wait for me. And he's running, and he's an older, well, we didn't know at the time, but Ralph Angel goes and grabs him up, yanks his ass up, and drags him into the house. He's an older gentleman, and Ralph Angel knew him. He called him by name. He brought him into the house. He then contacted Mr. Prospect and Charlie. So they end up coming over, and they're going back and forth. And the man, he has fallen on hard times. He is part of a group of people who were actually hired by the damn Sam Landry. They, just doing what you need to do to try to survive. Hired by Sam Landry to steal some of the cane, and also they went into the meeting. They're farmers. Went into the meeting and spied and brought the information back out to the Landrys. They were paid for it. And Charlie was like, okay, well, we're going to call the police. This, that, and the other. Ralph Angel wouldn't stand for it. He told Charlie, he said, I understand what it is. I believe in second chances. He's like, and the man was like, I don't care what you do to me. Please just don't tell my wife. He just didn't want his wife to know, because again, he just didn't want that disrespect, and didn't want his wife looking at him. Again, old school. You know what I mean? He understood. Once your wife doesn't respect you anymore, your marriage is pretty much done. He understands that. So I felt really bad for him. And so did Ralph Angel. So Ralph Angel actually talked Charlie out of calling the police. He said, you don't understand, Charlie. He said, when a man has to look his family in the face and tell them, I can't provide what you need, and doesn't know where he's going to get it, he said, it'll make a man do bad things. That hit home with Charlie. Oh, and one other thing, right before I finish that. Did y'all catch when Charlie told that goddamn Davis? Because Davis said something about wanting to be there for his kid and all that shit. And he made a reference to, like, him being the father that Charlie's dad was to her. Oh, that motherfucking Charlie told him when she was in the midst of cussing him out. And she stopped and said, and for the record, don't you ever compare yourself or put yourself in the same sentence with my father. I said, I know that's right. Anyway, going back. Okay, so they agreed not to call the police and everything. They let the man go and all that. Charlie ended up, because it was late. Mr. Prospect went on home. Charlie ended up staying overnight at the house with Ralph Angel. So she wakes up in the morning to the sound of Blue cackling and kikiing. Just cutting up. He was having a good old time. And she actually walked to the door, the bedroom door. And they didn't see her, but she was actually watching Charlie was much of a voyeur. This episode, she stood at the doorway and she actually watched Ralph Angel interacting with Little Blue. And I think it sparked something in her as to how much a little boy needs his dad around, and just the relationship between Blue and how happy Blue was, in there with his dad. And that's what Micah is actually missing. Even though Micah's dad traveled and this, that, thing, and the other, at one point they were a family unit and Micah was happy. Micah has not been happy since his parents split. And a lot of it is he's going through some things and he's separated out from his dad. And these are things that he actually really does need his dad for. So she's, little by little, she's getting it. I said, okay, keep her watching. So she never said anything to Ralph Angel. She actually went on and she left. Her and Ralph Angel actually had a conversation midway through the program where he told her how he had gone down and talked man to man with Jacob Boudreaux. And she just snapped right on him, like she always does. She wasn't listening. She said, stop making these moves without telling me. And she's like, I could just imagine what that conversation was like, that whole interaction, you with this man-to-man stuff. And she's thinking that he just done fucked everything all up. It's like, man, and then she walks out. So that was in the middle. So after all of the stuff that happened on the land and all that, this was such a badass scene. Ralph Angel and Charlie go down to Sam Landry's office. Sam Landry and Jacob Boudreaux are in the office. They get to talking. And she rolls through. And they're like, well, what do you want? What's going on? And Charlie told him, she says, oh no, we're just doing like you all did. And Ralph Angel said, yeah, that's how we do. See, but we roll up. We just roll on up. And now you'll get the chance to see what it feels like when somebody just rolls up on you. And Charlie took it from there and said, yeah, but see, we roll up during the daylight. Unlike you like to roll up in the middle of the night when people are asleep. Because you're cowards. And she kept calling them boys. And I know that was making them mad as hell. Because, they love to throw that term around. She's like, boys, so forth and so on. I said, oh, Charlie. So he gets to saying something to her about the meal. And Charlie says, mm-hmm. And she told him, she says, let me tell you something. She said, when you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. And you don't want to do that. And Sam Landry looked at her and said, we've been running a meal and running this area for over 100 years. And you've been running your little thing for what, 3 months? Do you think that you can beat us? She said, boys, that's the question you should be asking yourself. Baby, and her and Ralph Angel marched on out of there. I was about falling off the couch, screaming and yelling. I said, you better tell his ass, Charlie. That Charlie always got some shit up her sleeve. She'll talk some good shit to you. So, anyway. All right, so all that's going on. Now, there's this big old surprise party. Aunt Vi and Hollywood are getting back. They come in the door, and everybody's like, surprise, all the lights was off. They're like, how the hell did y'all know we were coming back? People talk. And they were it was fun. They had a whole, they'll have a party in a minute. So they had this whole little party going, and they were having a really good time and everything. And at one point, Charlie was in there cleaning up. Aunt Vi went in there and said to her, she said, what's going on? What you doing cleaning up? Because I know you do not like cleaning up. She said, I know that, see, I don't really like doing all that type of stuff, but I know that it's the thing that brings you home to family. Family is important, and there's no problem with cleaning up after your family or doing for your family, and I kind of miss that. Aunt Vi told her there is nothing to miss because you're actually still with family, and you can stay as long as you want. And she said, okay, Aunt Vi. She went on out of the kitchen. Next thing we actually end up seeing, Micah's out on the porch by herself, and Ralph Angel went out. And I've been waiting on this. Ralph Angel went out, didn't even say a whole lot to Micah, just told Micah, you want to talk? You okay? He told him, he said, keep your head up. Everything's going to be fine. And Micah was like, all right, you know what I mean? And again, our little warrior, Charlie, seen it. She was standing there, she saw it. And when Ralph Angel ended up walking back in, she said to Ralph Angel, she said, thank you so much for that. And he's like, I ain't did nothing. You know how he be. He ain't did nothing. It was country stuff. And she said, and I want you to know, I get it. I get it. I get all of what you were saying. You need to stand on your own. You need to be able to make things happen for you and Blue on your own without interruption, whether it be a mistake or whether it be something good. You need to be able to do that on your own as a man, and I understand that. Give me the papers, and I'm going to sign them. I get it. And he hugged his sister, and, I was about in tears. I said, okay, good. So that was that. Then the very next thing we see, everybody's gone. Blue and all of them are gone. And Aunt Vi and Hollywood are sitting on the couch. And Charlie and Micah have their things all packed, and they're like going toward the door. And she says, what's going on, baby? Where y'all going? And she's like, it's time for us to go. It's time for us to go. And they're like, no, y'all don't have to go. She said, no, honey, we don't want to hear that mess. Y'all getting ready to get the door. We don't want to hear that mess. It's time for us to get a place. She said, it's time for me to get a place of my own. It's time for us to get on to what we're doing. And I was like, all right. So they went and got in the car. She drove on back. She actually took Micah back home and gave him to, I don't think they're even in their big house, but she took Micah and gave him to Davis and told him, if you fuck this up, I'm going to fuck you up. And it is what he said. I'm not gonna mess up. I'm not gonna mess up. She said, I hope for your sake you don't. I'm gonna fuck you up. So she gave Micah to Davis. And then she went on, he told her, he said, Charlie, I would never have gone to the bank and said anything. The best things in our lives that have happened, you create. That's what you do. And I would never have done that. I would just, being an ass. I would never do that. She's like, oh. Yeah, just don't fuck that up with your son, or I'm gonna fuck you up. Doesn't matter what you're talking about. She went on out the door. So I was like, all right, good. Okay. So, and then the last thing that made me happy, you see, I'm already smiling, is let's go back to Atlanta. Now we got Nova getting ready to leave. And she's leaving the hotel. Dr. Robert Dubois shows up. He has 2 cups of coffee. And she's like, why you just have 2 cups? He's like, I know I'm doing. Gives her the coffee, gets her bags. He's taking her out to the cab, and he says, I could drive you to the airport. She's like, no, I'm fine. And then he tells her, he gives her his card and all that. And just pimped her. He just fucking pimped her, old school style, and told her, she said something about if you get a chance to get away from here, you come on down to New Orleans, you look me up. And he pimped her ass and let her know, give her a call. Bitch, call me. I got something for you, bitch. And he was just a perfect gentleman. That character was so well created and so well put in the right place. And this, I was just screaming, Ava DuVernay. So I was like, okay, and he got her. And Nova looked at him like, we haven't seen her look at anybody like that except for the white guy that was the married man. That's the first time we've seen her look at anybody. Because not even the girl, even when she was all into that girl, she didn't look at her like that. She looked at him, and I kept looking at them. I was like, they would be the perfect goddamn couple. So I was down with that. And when she was leaving, that was the last we see. She was driving away in the cab, and you could just see it all over her face. She was just as smitten. I said, good for you, Nova. And that's where it ended out. This was an excellent piece. It was just done really well and very easy to watch. Because Queen Sugar sometimes it gets you really on it always gets you on an emotional roller coaster, but this was a good one. This was good. I really enjoyed it. I don't know what's going to happen next week because she'll probably take us and make me all mad next week, ready to fight. But that's why we love this show. So, all right, you guys, that's it. I will see you guys definitely next week for Queen Sugar. Bye, guys.